The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
All right, the cost of your iPhone is going up, and Google is putting on pressure to the Quebec government, and those two stories are actually related. Let's get to hydroelectricity and the chips that go in your phones, and a couple of stories here, again, seemingly unrelated, but are very much related. I'll start off with the Wall Street Journal that had an exclusive interview with outgoing Apple CEO. Tim Cook's leaving, by the way, but he's still CEO for now. They had an interview with Tim Cook of Apple, and in that interview, Tim Cook confirmed that price hikes across Apple's entire lineup are now, quote, unavoidable. Up until now, Apple has eaten much of the increase in costs of components, and what we're talking about here primarily is memory and storage chips, okay? So the chips that are in your iPhone right now that act as memory and storage, they have been increasing in cost. Now, why have they been increasing in cost? Well, it's because data centers, AI, artificial intelligence data centers, are eating up the supply. Every single plant that makes these chips, it's 110% capacity right now, and they're all going to make these chips for data centers. So Apple, in order to make their iPhones and their Mac Minis, all these products, well, they're competing for the same resources, those chips that everyone else is going after. Now, up until now, you know, one of the things that Tim Cook has always been very good when it comes to running Apple has been, you know, supply management. And Apple had signed long-term deals. They are very good at forecasting. They knew what was coming, so they could eat these blows. Over the last few years, they've been able to actually have agreements in place with these memory providers, these storage chip providers. But now, 3-4 years into this, those old deals are expiring, and when they're re-upping, they're having extreme cost increase. So Tim Cook at Apple says the next slate of iPhones that are due this fall and the next slate of Apple products will see price increases, and it's unavoidable. So I don't know if you're one of those people that needs to think ahead when you make your purchases. You may want to look at the current price of things and ask yourself, would I still buy this at $300 more or $200 more? Because price hikes are coming. And by the way, this is maybe Tim Cook talking about Apple products. If it's going to affect Apple products, you can bet your bottom dollar that it will affect all of the other smartphone manufacturers as well. So price increases are coming thanks to AI data centers wanting those chips. Now, speaking of those AI data centers, and I said data and I said data in like the same sentence. I don't know which one is correct. And I know a lovely dog. His name is Data. He's a Vizsla and he's fantastic as well. But speaking of those AI data centers, Google wants to build one in Quebec. If you want to build an AI data center and fill them up with those chips, you need power to run that data center. And if you're going to open up one of these things, you need to negotiate in advance with whoever sells the electricity in the jurisdiction. Some places it's private companies. Of course, here in Quebec, it's Hydro-Quebec. And we have reporting this morning that Christine Frechette, Premier of Quebec, on this show on Monday, she's under pressure. There is being pressure applied for her to okay a deal between Hydro-Quebec and Google. It is a deal that would bring in $150 million to Hydro-Quebec every single year. Now, I don't know, I'm not even, it's hard for me to put it in perspective. What exactly is a kilowatt, a megawatt, just how much energy we're talking about here. But the number is 380 megawatts a year for Google for a data center. They want Quebec to say, yes, we'll give you those megawatts at that price. And if you say so, we will build a new data center in the Beauharnois region, okay? Now, when Christine Frechette took over, apparently under François Legault, this was almost a done deal, that it was about to be done. But then Frechette takes over, and she has, according to Journal de Montréal, slowed down the process. Initially, she didn't oppose it, but upon obtaining further advice, again, this according to Journal de Montréal, Frechette blocked the agreement. Now, that doesn't mean it's over. The big concern here is, will Hydro-Quebec have enough power for everything else? And it is not lost on me that just a couple of weeks ago, was on June 1st, that the agreement between Hydro-Quebec and New York City came into effect. And now Hydro-Quebec is shipping Quebec electricity straight to the Big Apple. So we've got electricity headed to New York City. We have tech companies that want our electricity for data centers. Well, will there be enough for the rest of us? I need to point this out. The reservoirs, the Hydro-Quebec reservoirs in northern Quebec, they're depleted. Now, we've seen lower than normal rain in northern Quebec over the last 2-3 years. By the way, this is normal. It's part of cycles. Every 15-20 years, we do see this where the reservoirs run dry just because of the natural cycle of precipitation. But we're in a low point. The reservoirs are dry, and everybody wants our power. Just a couple of things that are happening, and it just shows you how everything is certainly connected nowadays. Listen, we're going to be talking to Meeker Guerrier at the end of this hour. You hear him on the Big Five. His bread and butter is the sports world. He does a tremendous job covering sports in this city. He's actually in New York City this morning. He's at the Knicks parade, the New York Knicks celebrating their NBA championship. He has been to, I think, 4 or 5 World Cup matches already in Boston, Philadelphia, in New Jersey. He's going to join us at the end of the hour to get us primed for Canada versus Qatar, the big game that will happen at 6 p.m. tonight. So stay tuned for that. He's going to give us the lowdown on why this game is so important for Canada. But I wanted to give you a laugh before that. I want to play you some audio coming from Dallas, Texas, and the local Fox affiliate, Fox 4, in Dallas, Texas. They're on location outside the stadium in Arlington that is hosting World Cup matches in Texas. And as one of their broadcasters is live on air, there's someone in the background, Japan playing in Arlington earlier in the week. And there's a guy in the background, and he's desperate to get on air. And the local reporter allows this Japanese guy to hop onto the broadcast. As it turns out, he's actually a broadcaster in Japan, and it led us with this absolute magical moment of live television. Have a listen.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, how's it going?
My name is...
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Hirochika Nakakuki.
Oh, wow.
It's live?
Okay.
It's
yes,
live?
Yes, it's live. Baby.
Yeah.
Yes. How
Yeah.
excited are you?
Yeah.
You were so excited, right? Japan, right?
Excuse me.
Okay.
I cannot speak English, but I'm excited!
I love it! Yeah, baby! Let's go!
Japan!
Did bring me back to a few years ago. I went to Miami I went this year as well, but 3 years ago I went to Miami for the World Baseball Classic as well. The finals were between Japan and the United States, and before that game, I'm headed into the stadium. And there's every single Japanese broadcaster imaginable set up live outside the stadium and doing live reports back to Japan about the big finale. And me and my buddies, you know, we definitely tried to get on to as many Japanese broadcasts as possible in the background. So the reporters are doing their live hits, and you would see me just walk behind and look at the camera and keep walking through. So I can definitely understand the need, especially for a broadcaster. This guy, by the way, works for a Nippon TV affiliate, the guy that was on air. So he's actually a known broadcaster in Japan. I can definitely understand the need as a broadcaster to get onto as many TV channels as possible. All right, when we return on the Elias Macko Show, BMO and Dollarama have announced a new loyalty rewards partnership. What's changing when it comes to those loyalty plans in your pocket? We'll talk to Patrick Sojka from RewardsCanada.ca coming up next.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
Time is valuable.
Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Macco Show.
On News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
The voice of Montreal.
Bank of Montreal and Dollarama have announced a new loyalty points program partnership, all part of BMO's Blue Rewards program. And people who've got Blue Rewards will now earn points at the over 1,700 Dollarama stores across Canada on purchases of $20 or more. Let's get into the details here. Let's talk about the current state of rewards points programs in this country with someone who really knows this business. Patrick Sojka is on the line, founder of RewardsCanada.ca. Patrick, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Elias. Thanks for having me back on.
First things first, BMO's Blue Rewards program. I'm not so sure many people know about this program, and I guess it's because it wasn't always called that. So let's talk about the history here of Blue Rewards.
Yeah, so, Blue Rewards is literally only about 2 weeks old at the time we were discussing this. It launched at the beginning of June. The news has been out since January, but it is, part and parcel, mostly, it is Air Miles. It is the new name of the Air Miles program. So, if people haven't really kept track of the news or, seen emails from Air Miles letting people know that they have transitioned the program into Blue Rewards, and the iconic name of Air Miles has now been retired.
So you just said it, that iconic name. I wonder, for someone that covers this side of retail and business, do you think abandoning that name, everyone knew Air Miles, was a good idea?
I'm on the fence of that one. I think I understand the transition. It was a good evolution of the program, because they even did studies themselves, Air Miles, where a lot of people thought Air Miles was just a travel program. Mm-hmm. And for the longest time period now, it has not just been about travel. It's actually been more about merchandise and everyday value, getting gift cards and things that you can do every day with your finances and your loyalty programs. And I don't think a lot of people understood that. They just thought Air Miles was travel. And then also, there's also that generic name, Air Miles. As iconic as it is, it was a generic name. People would call points from other airline programs Air Miles, So it helps differentiate them and let people know, we're here more about, helping Canadians with their everyday spending and everyday rewards, because that is, where Air Miles had probably been for the good past 15 years. They were less about travel and more so about those other types of rewards. And of course, owned by a bank now, BMO with Blue Rewards. In order to use Blue Rewards, can you just have a points card, or does BMO tie it now with their debit cards, with their credit cards? How's that working? How do you collect these Blue Rewards? Yeah, so you can still just have a Blue Rewards loyalty card. For most of us, we will still be our Air Miles card in our wallet. The number has not changed, the barcode, anything like that, or if you have it on your app. The app has been updated to Blue Rewards. I should notice my wallet updated automatically, so it's now, on my Apple Wallet, it shows up as Blue Rewards. But if you're using a physical card in that, you just continue using your Air Miles card unless you call them and request a new card. So you do not have to have the BMO credit cards, but by getting the BMO credit cards, you're earning more Blue Rewards points. So it works just like how Air Miles did. Everybody could collect Air Miles, but then if you had an Air Miles credit card, you were doubling up. You would be earning by scanning your Air Miles card and then earning the miles, or now points, by using that associated credit card, but you don't have to have it. So you can have the greatest points card in the world. If you don't have the right partners, it's pretty useless. So let's talk about the partnerships here. Of course, the big news here is this Dollarama partnership, but how is Blue Rewards doing on landing major partners? Yeah, so they definitely have a few. Dollarama is a big one. So, they did have, in the past, the Air Miles did do a little bit with Dollarama, and now they've signed, this multi-year agreement and expanded partnership with Dollarama, where, you can earn points for using a card link. So this is one of those things where you can't just show your Air Miles card, but it's called card link. So you have to link a Canadian-issued MasterCard. So it doesn't have to be a BMO Blue Rewards MasterCard. It could be, from any other bank. As long as you have a MasterCard, you link it. And then if you use that MasterCard for purchase, and as you mentioned at the start of the piece here, $20 or more, you're going to earn Blue points at Dollarama. But then if you use a BMO Blue Rewards MasterCard, you're going to earn even more points, because they have what's called an accelerator of 10 times the points when you use it at select partners, and Dollarama is one of those. So that's part of this expanded partnership. So I mean, they've added Dollarama. They've added a bunch of the MTY Group restaurants like Mucho Burrito, Thai Express. They've added Accor hotels. I mean, for most Canadians, they'll know it as Fairmont Hotels, or Montreal Novotel and Sofitel are all there, and they're all part of this card-linked program. So the key to this is that you have to use MasterCard to earn those points. But they have been adding more and more partners. And they have some exciting ones coming up too. I'm not allowed to divulge some other details right now, but there is more coming. So they're on the bandwagon. They're on the train. They're really trying to regain some of the a wider aspect of retailers like we used to see in the old Air Miles program.
With Patrick Sojka, founder of RewardsCanada.ca, talking about this new BMO Blue Rewards, that's the old Air Miles partnership with Dollarama. What's in it for Dollarama? Let's take a look at the Dollarama side of things here. Patrick, why do you think this makes sense for them?
It's all about foot traffic, right? It's about getting more people shopping at your places. I mean, Dollarama has been growing insanely, quickly here in Canada. I mean, like you said, over 1,700 stores nationwide now. It seems like every other day when I'm driving past some little strip mall, there's a new Dollarama. So they are growing big. So they need traffic to those places. So if they can, get the marketing prowess of a nationwide program like Blue Rewards to get more people in the door, then that's great. And that's what we've seen. And that's what Air Miles did in the past. That's what other programs have done in the past with these, what we call a coalition program, where they bring in lots of partners. It is about, expanding your marketing reach and getting more foot traffic in the door. And if this allows for it, then that's great. I think that's, it's going to bring more people to Dollarama, and that's where they're going to hopefully, benefit from this.
Does everyone have to have a rewards program at this point? One of the things I think about with Dollarama, obviously they want to keep costs down. They want to keep prices super low. That's the whole idea, I imagine, behind Dollarama. Seems to me these rewards programs, managing it, integrating it, that adds costs. So to me, I'm a little bit curious on that front. How do you see it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as Canadians, we have loyalty programs ingrained in our blood, it seems. It's just like, it does seem like every place you go should have a loyalty program, to compete with other programs. But you're right, Dollarama is about being the lowest cost possible and keeping their costs low. And I think that's why we see something like that. It has to be a linked card, so it has to be a MasterCard. So there is the possibility that MasterCard is footing some of the bill, not just Dollarama. That's a possibility. I'm making an assumption here. And it's also, they're giving you 1 point per dollar on purchase of $20 or more. A lot of people shopping at Dollarama aren't spending $20.
Oh, so they're not getting any points. That's key here. And you may be forcing people who are going to spend $16 to making sure they spend a few more bucks to get over that $20 threshold.
That's right, and that's where they make up that difference. It might cost them a little bit more, but they've now had somebody spend $4 or $5 more than they were originally planning, just so they can get their points. And I mean, to be honest, the points value is not a lot. I mean, 20. If you spend $20 exactly before taxes, you're getting 20 Blue Rewards points. That is, they're 0.67 cents. That's the rough value each. So you're getting, what is that? Maybe it's not a huge amount. I can't do the math in my head right now, but it's not a huge amount that you're getting back. So it's not a. You're getting 14. You're getting 14 cents basically, about 14 cents. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, you did the math for me. Perfect. I was going to say $1.40, but no, you're right. 14 cents.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It's not huge. It's not huge because of, there's other partners where you can earn more, but that's the thing, because Dollarama is, because it is low cost. But you're getting something, right? You're getting something, and then if you use the BMO Blue Rewards card, that really bumps it up, because you can get 10 times the points on top of that 14 cents a point.
Yeah.
So, there is the potential to earn more there. So, and that is about driving customers back to Montreal. So, I mean, if you are a regular Dollarama shopper, you may ideally want to get a BMO Blue Rewards MasterCard, because it's going to give you some more value. And then what they also launched with this partnership is they have discounted reward amounts to get Dollarama gift cards. So normally the gift card rate in Blue Rewards is like 1,500 points for a $10 gift card. You get 5% off for Dollarama, and so you're only spending $14.25. So you're getting a little more value there as well for your points.
Gotcha. All right, listen, Patrick, you're someone who knows the ins and outs of this game. I'll direct all of our listeners to your website, RewardsCanada.ca. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it. Thanks again, Elias.
Patrick Sojka right there. Jim Beis is on deck. He's the mayor of Pierrefonds-Roxborough and Montreal's executive council member for security and prevention. When he comes on next, we'll talk about the unacceptable behavior from Station 39, police officers at Station 39 in Montreal North. That's
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
.ca.
Montreal, the everyday
And the extraordinary.
The Elias Macco Show
On CJAD 800.
time now for our weekly City Hall segment. We're going to head straight over to Jim Beis. He's the mayor of Pierrefonds-Roxborough, and he's Montreal's executive council member for security and prevention. Mayor Beis, Jim, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Elias, for having me on.
Listen, let's go back to Friday night, okay? It was a dramatic sequence of events. We get an alert about 9 p.m. There will be a press conference by Fadi Daguerre, the police chief for the SPVM, at 10:30, and then he breaks the news of very serious claims of racism in the police force. Station 39, 16 officers suspended or removed from their duties. So all of that news comes out at the last minute. Why don't you take me back to Friday? When did you become aware of something? Did you get a heads up, or did you find out like the rest of us?
Look, I found out a couple of hours before that, and it was absolutely necessary that the chief of police announce that when he did. These are horrible, terrible, unacceptable allegations against some police officers that absolutely had to take this, process in order for that to be not only the people had to find out about it, the citizens had to find out about it, but then that action be taken after that immediately, which the chief of police did, suspending and removing that core group within Station 39. And so this is, of course, pending an investigation, and that's what's happening right now. So, regardless of when the announcement was made, which I believe was done correctly, now we have to go through the investigation and make sure that these allegations and they have been taken seriously to see what the next step will be. Why
don't we get into the allegations? Because I think there is a little bit of confusion, and there's media reports and unconfirmed things. What are as you see it here, what are the allegations?
Look, I can't get into the allegations in detail, but what I can tell you is that these allegations are extremely serious to the point where they're criminal, and that's what's alleged. And when you have these types of allegations and an investigation is ongoing, of course, everyone is limited in terms of the information that they can give. What we're hoping with the investigation is, of course, that all of this is brought forward and then clearly identified to tell the public what exactly this was. And then, and only then, can we move forward and see, is this something that was isolated in Station 39? Is it something that occurs or has occurred in other communities in other areas of Montreal? And, this is an ongoing issue that will be evaluated when the time comes. But right now, the order of business is to make sure that if these allegations are what they seem to be, that, they are tried in a criminal court to be able to find resolve. But having also said that, the level of trust with communities is already and has always been fragile, particularly in Montreal North when you deal with racialized communities. The communities and the police, look, the vast majority of the police officers do an extraordinary job. And I can tell you, even in my community, the outreach programs that they've put in place to bridge communities together, they've done that successfully in many ways. And so what something like this does is it breaks that confidence and trust, something that's taken quite a long time to rebuild. And I know Mr. Daguerre and the chief of police has had that for the last 3 years or so that he's been with Montreal. I mean, that has been his clear vision to make sure that we establish these bonds with communities. And then something like this happens, and then all of a sudden it's almost like you have to start from square one. And that's the unfortunate reality of what we're living with now, not to mention the communities, what they're feeling, being targeted from time to time, and the stories that have come to light now after this event on Friday.
So 2 police officers suspended, 14 others reassigned or relocated. Now, the ones that were reassigned, relocated, are they still dealing with the public? Do you know?
Well, what I know is they're not working on the ground with the other police officers. They have been assigned, from what I understand, to administrative duties, which may deal with the public, but not on the ground in communities. That's the information that I have. And that's the way I would like to see it as well, because, I mean, let this investigation go forward, and if the allegations are true on some, if not all, the officers, that has to happen when these officers aren't dealing with the public directly as well. And so that's what I've been told.
So, and these officers, and I don't know how much you can confirm here, it seems like the majority of them are what we call recent officers, recent recruits. They've been with the force for 5 years or less. So let's get into that, because that's what's concerning for me. You know, it's one thing when you hear about, well, they've been in the force for 20 years, they learned bad habits, they have these. Now these are new officers primarily. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Why do you think this is happening with new recruits?
You know, I had the same question, and when you look at society as a whole, I mean, we can safely say that racism exists in every sphere of society, and so the police, being a part of society, also have that element. Unfortunately, that's part of it. The police officers go through extremely strict training. They go through the police academy. They're accompanied by police officers when they do their first missions on the ground. And so all of that is taken into consideration. But, you know, I'm concerned about it as well, because you'd like to think that the younger generation is a little more sensitive to the realities of all these things we hear from time to time. And when you hear this with a young officer that's just starting their careers, if that's the case and the allegations are true, well, I mean, what does the police do at that point to make sure that at least they put all the safeguards in place to eliminate as much as possible that part of society that could become police officers and maybe conduct themselves in this way in the future? And so, look, it's an ongoing issue.
But Jim, you know, I'd heard like there's also been tremendous efforts made by the SPVM for diversity on the force and having officers that can represent communities. Are these 16 cops, are they all white police officers?
I don't have that information, Elias. All I can tell you is when I go to the swearing in ceremonies for the police, of course, I'm a part of that as well. And I can tell you the last few that I've been at, I mean, there's an incredible mosaic of cultures that is well represented within the new recruits. Now, is that something that would dissuade someone from acting in this way in the future? I'm not sure. All I know is that when they are trained police officers, they have to be trained to conduct themselves to human beings, not any particular community. I mean, at the end of the day, we're dealing with human beings here, regardless of our background in our community. And so, is this something that will be discussed as we go forward? I mean, the chief of police has already met with different organizations. I have met with different organizations. I know the mayor of Montreal North has met with different organizations as well, because right now we have to continue to build bridges and regain some of that trust that the communities have slowly developed with the authorities. And the other thing too is, I mean, these types of incidents always mobilize everyone to make reports and analysis and all of this. Yeah. But you know, these things exist already. I mean, there's no reason to recreate the wheel when we've already been told, the police has already been told what the code of conduct should be, the type of issues that they deal with every day, some communities, and what the officers should be doing in the future. So all of this exists. My role is to look at this and at the political level and see what tools we can continue to give to the police and make sure that they do the job properly, as well as speaking with the communities and putting them at ease to know that we're doing whatever we can.
Jim, got to leave it there. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me, Elias.
Jim Beis, Mayor of Pierrefonds-Roxborough and Montreal's Executive Council Member for Security and Prevention. When we come back, we'll get you primed for Canada's match against Qatar at the World Cup. Let's check in.
Pride is like love. You feel it in your heart. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio and podcasts, including iHeart Pride Canada, your favorite hits and must-have party bangers, plus personalized and curated playlists like Back in the Day Pride.
Come together, celebrate love.
Take Pride with you anytime, anywhere. Just ask your smart speaker to play iHeart Pride Canada. Stream us on your phone or listen now at iHeartRadio.ca.
Time is valuable.
Thanks for spending your morning with us. The Elias Macco Show.
On News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
The voice of Montreal.
Canada is set to play its second match of the group stage tonight at 6 p.m. versus Qatar. Of course, I'm talking about the World Cup. Canada's first game of the tournament finished in a 1-1 draw against Bosnia and Herzegovina. Meanwhile, Qatar were able to get a surprising 1-1 draw against Switzerland. The game at 6 p.m. our time at BC Place. Let's head over now to someone you're used to hearing on the Big Five at 9:05, Meeker Guerrier, commentator at Noovo and RDS. We find him in the Big Apple, New York City. He's been partaking and watching some of the matches happening in that city. Meeker, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Elias. How you doing?
Doing great. Listen, so much to get to here. Let's try and unpack everything. First things first, you're in New York City. I'd love to know about the matches you've seen, the atmosphere, if they've got World Cup fever in New York.
They have it all over because I went to actually Toronto, Boston, Philly, and now I'm in New York. I went to see a game there as well. I saw France against Senegal there. I saw Canada for the first game in Toronto. I can tell you that in Philly, for instance, it was just crazy because Ecuador was there playing against it was Ivory Coast, because I've seen so many games till now that sometimes I confuse them. So Ivory Coast and Ecuador, and the city was packed with Ecuador fans, and even people in the city were saying, hey, by the way, are you going to the Brazil-Haiti game later this week? So it's this Friday, tomorrow. And people were excited, even if they were not from those countries. They're just residents of Philly, for instance. In New York, New Jersey, it's a little bit different because I'm actually going to the Knicks parade today. So a lot of people have been talking about the Knicks, but if you listen to sports radio all over the East Coast, people are saying in Boston, I was listening to someone saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to talk about the Red Sox because the Red Sox are having a bad season. They're bad. Let's talk World Cup. And that really amazed me because you know how Americans love their sports, but that World Cup, I mean, I think people are just really into it. Maybe not everyone, but a lot of people are really into it. And, it brings a great atmosphere to the cities I visited.
Well, it sounds like you're having an absolute blast. And it sounds like a lot of these, a lot of things we heard, nobody's going to show up, World Cup, that kind of stuff. Well, it certainly sounds like people are showing up and people are having fun. So that's great to hear. Listen, since you were in Toronto, I want to get to the first match here before we get people primed for today and the game against Qatar. Obviously, disappointment for Canada in that draw against Bosnia and Herzegovina. What do you think went wrong? Why do you think that we ended up with more disappointment than expected?
I'd say some disappointment because had Canada taken the lead 1-0, then I think it would have been different. But since Canada was trailing 0-1 and they were able to score and tie the game, to me that it makes it less of a disappointment. So. Disappointment, but not as much as losing 2-0 or just losing by 1 goal. So to me, it's not that bad. That being said, I think they were nervous. You could feel that they were kind of, unsettled at some point, especially if you look at Jonathan David. He missed great chances. You have to say also Canada hit the post as well. They hit the crossbar. So I don't know. I don't want to be too hard on them, especially with the game coming later today. But of course they need to do better, and they need to play their game and play their style and not be afraid of, trying to score a goal and trying to win that game because they need that first win today.
What do we need to do better? Is it all about finishing? Like, instead of hitting the post, getting it into the back of the net? What do they need to do better?
I would say, yes, finishing, obviously, but also playing a little faster. I remember I was sitting in the stands, and we were looking at the game with the person I was with, and we were saying they need to accelerate a little bit the play when they get to that third portion, like close to the box. And that's exactly what Ismail Kone did on the Kyle Iron goal, is that he accelerated the game. He went at his rhythm, he slowed it down, and then he really punched the gas, and that created space, that created some space for Laren, and they were able to score. So to me, they need to play their style. They need to play the possession. They played it well. They had the possession for most of the game in the first game, but they need to play a little faster and go forward and not be afraid, because you could feel how nervous they were. But I think with the second game, it'll be better, and the fact that there will be about 50,000 people in that stadium in Vancouver, I think that's really going to lift them, and they'll be able to go for that win, because Switzerland, the next game, I'm not sure they'll be able to win that. But Qatar is an opposition that they can take, and they can win that game.
With Meeker Guerrier talking about the World Cup, Meeker, is it fair to say is this a must-win for Canada against Qatar?
To me, it is. It is, because Canada went through 2 World Cups. They didn't win. The first one they didn't score. The second one they did. They didn't have any points in the last World Cup. In the previous 2 World Cups, they got that point. Now you're at home. You need to win. As I said, Switzerland is a good team. They're maybe not a contender to win the World Cup, but they are a good team. And I don't think Canada is ready to beat a team like Switzerland. But Qatar is a team that they can beat, and they can build off that. But yeah, they need to win, because you look at the standings right now. All the teams in that group have 1 point, so it's still the first rank is still out there for the take, and second place, same thing. And this year, 8 out of the 12 third seeds will make it to the next round, but really to take the option and really they have to win that game. Honestly, I don't know any other way how to say it, but it's going to make things harder if they don't win today, and maybe almost impossible for them to win. At least they need a draw today. If they lose today, it's not going to look good for the rest of the tournament.
Okay, in the minute we have left, in the minute we have left here, Meeker, let's talk about Alphonso Davies. He's in the lineup, right? He's going to make his tournament debut tonight. He's had injuries, right? The hamstring, I think it is, right? So, what are we expecting from Alphonso Davies here? How important is it that he's back in the lineup?
He won't be a starter today. No. He'll be available for today. But to me, just to have him on the bench, to have that option, it is important for Canada, and it gives an additional card to Jesse Marsh. But Alphonso Davies, for people who don't follow soccer, who don't follow the Canadian selection, he's the best player by far. He's the heart and soul of that team. They don't construct everything around him. The offense is not made around him, but he's so good he can change a game with his legs, because he is that fast. And I remember seeing him in person in Qatar, and I was so impressed by his speed. The only other player I saw that was faster than Alphonso Davies was Kylian Mbappe. And Alphonso Davies plays in a great championship in Germany, and he's one of the best players of Bayern München. So he's a very important part, even on one leg, even at 80%, 85%, he's still better than half the players on that team. So I think that his presence will inspire the rest of the team, just the fact that he's there, but it also give an option to the coach. So, I'm looking forward to seeing him. But if you don't see him today, it might be good news. It means that Canada is leading, and they don't need him. But if you see him at the end of the game, in the last 30 minutes, for instance, it means that Canada is in trouble.
Oh, that's interesting. Meeker, listen, living the sports dream. Have fun at the Knicks parade, and enjoy the rest of your World Cup travels. Thanks for coming on today.
I will. Thanks for having me, Elias. Talk to you soon.
Meeker Guerrier right there, commentator at Noovo and RDS. That's our show, by the way. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure you catch up on what you missed. The Big Five podcast and the Elias Macco Show podcast is available on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. Max Simcadot producing this one. Shay Farrar, the mastermind in Master Control. Thanks so much, fellas, for the great work, and we'll be back at it tomorrow.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.